because it's basically accessing my camera, which is high, and I'm high.
There you go. That's pretty good. You look like you're on a top of the mountain and you're looking down.
Peace.
We're actually, I think we're on Facebook now. We'll see if actually anybody is actually paying attention to this.
So this goes straight to Facebook Live.
If you go to my Facebook timeline, you should see this now. Let's see.
Go in there. I see the one you do with Polarize. Hold on.
Yep, there we are. We're there.
I don't see it on yours. I don't see it. That's weird. I'm on your timeline. Wait a minute.
Try refreshing it, see what happens.
Yeah, there it is. Holy, kind of weird. Like, but it's. I have to. Like, you know what? I have to. I don't see it on yours. I don't see it. That's weird. I'm on your timeline. Oh, I see it. It's actually got a little bit of a.
Try refreshing it, see what happens.
It's got a little smiley faces and likes. Kind of weird. Like, but
yeah, there's a little lag there.
Yeah, the leg is insane.
Yeah, but actually, so I originally tried this with your buddy and mine, John Colder Ice Lawson. Oh, he totally flaked on me. I don't know what happened to him. You can't really depend on that guy. He's out there in somewhere, I think in San Diego. He says his laptop has died on him. So he's singing the blues out in San Diego. I don't know how you can sing the blues out in San Diego.
I was just thinking, man, he's got to be in Memphis.
Yeah, eating some barbecue or something. So since it's you and it's me, does this make this an official CRM Playaz kind of thing?
It's the official CRM Playaz beta episode.
Beta, yeah, getting ready for 2017.
That's right. The plan.
So,
and we'll do guerrilla raids on Facebook.
Oh, look, Mike Boyson is cooking barbecue now as we speak.
So you know what? This year for CRM Playaz, we'll have him come on and do like grill reviews.
Yeah, we definitely need something extra.
That's right. Okay, Boyson, you ready, man? Grill review.
The rib review brought to you by EY and Mike Boyson.
BBBQ, Boyson Barbecue, right?
Yeah,
Triple BQ.
That's a lot of B's.
Yeah.
So we could actually. So you were out at the. I call it the CCE only because I don't know what the CCE stands for.
It actually stands for Constellation Connected Enterprise.
That's it.
I think.
I think you're right. So how was it? You were out there? You did a panel.
Yeah, we did the usual, the one you and I always do, which is sports. And the actual conference was awesome. I mean, it was this was like a special year because we had Vince Cerf there, right? And not only did we get Vince Cerf, but we had Meilin Fung, who was identified as the mother of CRM. Right?
Really? Wait a minute. So you had like the godfather of the internet, the mother of the internet, and you were there, so you had the godfather of CRM all in one place.
She was the mother or godmother of CRM, but I told her, wow. Wait a minute, don't you have a different husband than me?
There's all sorts of interconnected stuff going on at the Connected Enterprise thing.
Yeah, well, it got disconnected occasionally. It's just like the content level was tremendous, and it's a cutting edge conference. That's what it's about. It's about like the future of whatever. It's the future of the internet, the future of business, the future of the enterprise, the future of CCE itself, the future of Ray Wang. Right? I mean, it's like the future. The future of the future of the past.
The big question I have though, it was Ray's event. But how many other events did he go to during his own event?
Well, you want to hear something funny? This is true, though. The day before his event, literally the day, I'm not talking about days here, singular. He went to 4 other cities before he got home. He literally went to 4 cities. He flew to 4 cities before he got home to be there in the evening to kick off the event.
Well, I was watching the Apple event yesterday, going on right at the same time as CCE. I could have sworn I saw Ray in there. So.
Yeah, he did that, and then he went off and released Microsoft's new Surface.
Oh yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. I think Microsoft is bigfooting Apple. It's actually kind of one up Apple at its own game, because that Surface thing is awesome.
Well, I'll take it from the exact same standpoint. I'll call it SOT squashing.
Well, whatever we call it, it seemed like I was just on that video, which was just an awesome commercial for that Surface. What do they call it? The Surface something. Not a laptop. Right. They call it the Surface.
No, the Surface Book. This is now the laptop.
Surface Station or something like that, or
that's it. Wait. Surface Studio.
Surface Studio. That's right. That video, I have to admit, I actually have watched that thing several times because the thing is cool, but the music is good. It actually felt like an Apple commercial, but it was actually better than the Apple commercial.
You know what? Microsoft knocked it out of the park with this one, at least, given what it looks like and what it looks like it can do. I mean, it's not, they're organizing it toward creators and designers and the like. You had mentioned when you told me what the graphics card was, that it was focused on, kind of the creatives and the designer types, not the gamers, which, the graphics card is high-end for a mobile device is what it is. The 980M is a mobile device card, really, but it's a high-end one. You could actually game somewhat, but the reality of that thing is, aside from the fact it's utterly gorgeous, I mean, the design level of that thing is phenomenal. Yeah. And basically, we've seen the future and it's the present, and so, and secondly, what you can do with that Surface Puck.
Yeah, and the dial, the Surface dial.
The Surface dial, yeah, that and the pen and it's staggering. And I mean, you could be a straight productivity desktop if you want it to be, and then you just lay it down and design.
Mm.
Well, you remember when we were in San Francisco last year? Well, I don't remember what conference we were at, one of them, and we were at breakfast over at Mel's, and we saw that guy working on the Surface Book.
We were with Dennis. We were sitting at it was Dennis, and you're right. I think it may have been, I don't know. We went to so many conferences there. It's kind of hard to tell which one. Yeah. But yeah, that guy was doing that awesome drawing.
On the Surface Book.
Yeah.
And then now look at this thing, what you could do on it. 3D CAD drawing, 3D printing, and then they're building an entire upgrade of Windows for this.
Yeah.
Holy God, man, that's like amazing.
It really is.
It's not it's expensive, but it's not a killer price.
Right. It appears, because we haven't actually got hands on it or anything, but it really does appear. Do you remember when you were I guess it was 10 years ago, when you were on that Surface advisory board, and you were telling me how this thing was great, but it was as big as a tabletop, and it was going to cost like $5,000. Well, here we are in 2016, and that screen is almost as big as a tabletop, and it does have a pretty hefty price tag. But did you expect to see what they put out when you were originally back there in 2005 working with them and hearing about this for the first time?
Well, it's kind of weird. Where they just took it is where I kind of thought it was supposed to go, but it never did, right? And all of a sudden, it did, right? So, 9 years later is what it is. Well, 2007, you know what the difference was? this
Steve
tabletop.
Ballmer is not there anymore.
God bless the child. That's all you can say. But this one is what, 13 pounds. That one was about 300 pounds.
So wait a minute. Does that mean we're getting cheated because the price per pound is so much, more expensive now?
Yeah, but this is like Wagyu beef, and that was rotten chuck.
So compare that to, I mean, the Apple, the MacBook Pro stuff is kind of cool, but compared to what Microsoft did the day before, it left me feeling flat.
Well, yeah, interestingly enough, that was I didn't watch the actual launch on Apple, although I've certainly read the stuff, and the Microsoft really like outdanced Apple on this one by doing it a day earlier too, and a couple of days earlier, or a day earlier was it?
Yeah.
And the results you read, I was reading all these comparative things, and everyone came back saying, yeah, it's a nice upgrade, but it's kind of boring when it came to all the MacBooks. Oh, right, because everyone had just seen what Microsoft did.
I will say it. It seemed like everything turned around when the old CEO left and the new CEO came in. I mean, it's like night and day.
Yeah, no, you're nailing it, man. It's interesting. Their entire perspective, or the entire outlook for Microsoft in terms of their strategy, their program, their practice, everything has shifted. I mean, back when Balmer was there at its best, Office was a productivity suite, and Dynamics CRM was kind of growing a bit, and they had a couple of little. Surface One was coming out, so they were using Surface again and things like that. But they tended to be, but Azure was being at least thought about and developed somewhat. But what was fascinating once he left, and when he left, kind of the advanced thinking was devices and software, right? It's kind of devices and software. Now, the thing is that now Microsoft's decision is, no, that's not what we are. We're going to be a mission critical, we're going to be the epicenter of mission critical business infrastructure when it comes to everything. So all of it now, you have Azure being the infrastructural framework. You've got these new pieces of incredible hardware that are use case based and outcome based. You've got Windows 10 still being a foundational operating system, no matter how many people bitch about it, right? Because they just, even when they like it, they bitch about it. So, it's like, it is still by far the operating system most people use in business, especially, and even on the desktop. And then Office 365 is now not a productivity suite anymore. It's a unified communications hub that includes productivity. Dynamics has been integrated completely, and is now the business apps layer inside this overall matrix, and that's Microsoft's strategy, is to just dominate that way, and that's a way better strategy than they ever had, and they have the resources to do it.
And you know what else they got us? They got us doing this now. Like, we're not just talking; we're moving our arms and expressing, because they're doing some. I mean, is Microsoft now the cool company compared to Apple? I mean, they got the cool devices. They bought LinkedIn, although that's a business kind of cool, but still, it's kind of, and they're doing so many different things now. Are they now a cool company?
Here's what's going to happen in the next 3 minutes. There's going to be a denial of service attack on us by fanboys. Just because of what you just.
As I do this on a MacBook Pro, I look over to my iPad Pro, and near me is my iPhone. So I'm asking all this.
Yeah. Believers, we're still believers.
Yeah, we still love you. We still love you. But are you now the coolest kid on the block, or is the oldest kid on the block, now the coolest kid on the block.
Well, I mean, think of it this way: from a desktop standpoint, Microsoft's going to dominate, and they know what they owe. Frankly, when it came to variety of desktops anyway, since they were really agnostic when it boiled down to it, and they were more the operating system, they always were going to keep the leadership role in that. Just because the MacBook Pro looked kind of cool, and it's a good machine, but it's not a great machine and never was. Really, it's an okay. I have one. I have three PCs, and I have a MacBook Pro. On the mobile side, Apple's still going to be the dominant one. I don't think that's even an issue. But Microsoft has the Surface Pro 4 made some progress. We'll have to see what they do with 5, and they are coming out with a new Surface Pro and a new Surface Book. And if they've designed it anything like they've designed the Surface Studio, then Apple's going to have some issues. Because, you know what? I mean, one of the things that Apple could always hang on to, even if they didn't have, let's say, the processing power levels that Microsoft had or that the PC providers had, they had coolness. There was no question about it. It wasn't just the brand, it was the design. And Microsoft is just kicking it in design now, and nobody can deny. Anyone who says the Surface Studio is not cool and is not gorgeous and is basically just saying it because they're, why? Because they're zombies from The Walking Dead.
Out of blind allegiance to Apple.
Yeah, that's all.
I mean, this was done so well that I actually started liking Fiona Apple just for that couple of minutes that song played. That after the song is over, I'm back to who is she? So that says a lot. Well, right?
Somebody just sent a comment that said it's too soon for Microsoft to be thought as cool, right? Well, it's not, actually. It's not that Microsoft is cool. Microsoft actually doesn't care whether they're seen as cool. They care whether they're seen as kind of, how do I put this? Well, I mean, cool's an okay word, but it's not where I'm going. Microsoft wants to be seen as kind of business sexy, right? That's what they want to be. Look, keep in mind that what this machine's being designed for. It's not actually meant to be, although it will be, a consumer machine. It's meant to be a designer creator machine. It's a business machine, right? And that's
no. I just thought of something here. They're gotten cool, and remember, I went to Microsoft Ignite,
right? And
they had the big announcement about Adobe getting on board with Azure with all their clouds. So just imagine Creative Cloud using that, finely tuned to the Surface thing. That kind of makes you wonder what else is going on there,
Good thought, man. That's a really good, because of course they announced the original idea is marketing, Adobe Digital Marketing becomes Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. I mean, it becomes what they use for marketing in Microsoft Dynamics, which means Microsoft more or less is giving up on, their let's call it, their limited acquisition. But what you're saying, it actually goes to the heart of what we saw at the Adobe Digital Marketing Summit with the CIO from Adobe, where he said, look, we are going to combine creative document and digital marketing clouds into a platform, and B, we're going to build this open ecosystem that when we see what our competitors are doing things better than we are, we're willing to we're willing to partner with them for that, even if we're doing it. And if we're not doing it, of course, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, we're going to build this ecosystem where we are able to see what our customers need end to end. So what you're saying is in direct line with that kind of thinking from both sides of the equation, Microsoft's and Adobe's. But and Azure becomes phone. But you know what?
What happens if Salesforce buys Adobe?
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think Adobe's market cap is probably more than Salesforce, right? Even though they're not, not happening.
Well, I had to bring it out there because of the list.
Ask Bala. Bala will tell you.
Yeah.
There's a funny story about Bala and the acquisition of
Oh, I remember the tweet that came out.
Right, that was it. Jim Cramer.
That's right.
That's right. Poor
That's how
Val.
powerful Vala is. You know,
He
you can
is.
tweet something and it'll show up on national TV now.
That's him. He's amazing. But I think you're really onto something with that. Actually, I'm gonna start seeing if I can find out. You know what I think is gonna be really important to this? It's just occurring to me now that you said this. It's starting to like generate up here. That Windows 10 Creator upgrade. What they do with that is going to be really important relative to what you just said. I mean, that's a big deal, actually. I mean, if they're building out something that's designed for 3D and of course, Creative Cloud will be, absolutely something that has to be considered because they're as dominant on that as Microsoft is on Windows 10. So I really think that's important. God, now I'm gonna have to really track this thing.
We're gonna, yeah. It just makes so much sense, and Microsoft seems to be hitting on all cylinders in such a variety. When you think about it, are they the only company that is kind of pro business apps, platforms, and ecosystems with Azure devices outside of the phone? It seems like they have devices. The phone is a big hole in their whole portfolio, but I don't think I've seen any other company that is hitting on all those different areas. And let's not forget about business data with the LinkedIn acquisition.
Well,
are they the only ones that have that opportunity to pull it all together at this point?
Yeah. Actually, in 2005, I wrote this blog post that I said that Microsoft was the only company in the world, even including like GE, GM, I mean, not just tech companies, that actually could help enable someone's life from end to end. They had every single facet of someone's life was one way or the other technology enabling, and Microsoft could do it from end to end. I mean, it leads to a lot of, also organizational dysfunction too, which is consumer end rarely knows what the business end is doing, but that's being somewhat overcome by making the cloud and Azure kind of the centerpiece of everything. So a lot of things now roll up into there, right? And they kind of roll up organizationally to the cloud in Scott Guthrie's group in Microsoft. So that'll tend to eliminate some of the bureaucracy that Microsoft actually has there. And the other thing is, when it boils down to it, man, they got a ton of cash. They can do what they damn well want, really. And on the Twitter acquisition, excuse me, I'll start a new rumor. Let's see if Jim Cramer.
Well, ask Vala about that.
That wasn't me that said Microsoft's going to do that. That was Vala Offshore. But Jim Cramer said, "Well, I heard Vala Offshore said Microsoft's going to." On the LinkedIn acquisition, that plays to the idea of being the infrastructural matrix of 21st century business. But they have to do something with that, which is mission critical, which I think they'll do, which is to reopen the APIs. And the other thing, which I hope they do, is get rid of that piece of junk, Sales Navigator. Piece of junk. I cannot believe that there are companies like big consultancies who I will not name because I happen to like them otherwise, have a Sales Navigator practice. Can't help it.
They have a practice dedicated to that? Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's actually a very large consultancy that has a major practice for Sales Navigator, which is such a piece of junk. And it was the reason they closed the APIs. Because what I was, because you know why? The APIs, remember, were always open to everybody, right? And that was one of the power of LinkedIn. Well, when they actually created Sales Navigator, which they were seeing as CRM, and I know the guy who created it, it's actually a friend of mine. But I was told before it happened that we're going to be closing off the APIs. And I said to the guy, "Are you nuts? That's a horrible idea." And he said, we have to. We're going to be competing now in CRM. So therefore, we don't want them to have what we got. That's one of our big differentiators is our data source to begin with, right? So they shut them down and made the biggest mistake of their lives.
All right. So I remember, when LinkedIn went on those acquisitions, and they bought one of the CRM idol companies that was part of that. But didn't they leave the API open for Dynamics and Salesforce, and that was it?
Yeah. I mean, no, actually not for Dynamics. I think. Oh yeah, originally it was Dynamics. I think they shut it off to. No, they didn't. You're right. They left it open for both. No, there was I take it back. There was one other party.
Yeah, it was Dynamics. There was Salesforce, and there was one other.
I want to say Infor for some reason. It was like an odd Infor, one of the more odd companies. But I don't remember who it was. But there were 3 companies that were designated like, strategic something or another, and that they left them open for. But now they have to open it. Look, it's not a bad acquisition, even with keeping it closed, but it's a great acquisition if you open it up.
Yeah. There's a lot more possibilities with the data, I think, and keep it open.
You think if they're new, the attitude they have is, hi, we're also producing things on Linux operating system, meaning they're becoming less concerned about, being the thing, then it makes sense to just reopen them. I mean, even the corporate thing and the culture is starting to gear toward that kind of much more open thinking, and that's Satya's power, really. I mean, that's what makes him as good a CEO as he is. And also the other thing with him, which he's a very good public face for the company. He's a good guy when it comes across.
Over the last couple of years, almost every major software vendor and hardware vendor, it's like, and now joining us on stage, it's Satya Nadella.
And he's joining us with his best bud, Michael Dell, who's off. The other one who went to a conference.
And his best bud, Mark Penny.
No, but Mark at least doesn't go to that many other conferences.
Well, that's true.
Michael Dell, over a lot of I think I saw Michael Dell at Open World one week, and then Dreamforce literally the next week.
And he was best buds with Larry, and then he was best buds with Mark.
And he said, I got to go, guys. I have a conference in Seattle to get to.
Yeah, and my best buddy, Jeff Bezos.
That's right. So it's just, it's fascinating because Microsoft is positioning themselves well to be really a dominating force and actually accomplish what they are trying to set out to accomplish, which is to be a dominant piece of mission, the dominant piece of the mission critical business infrastructure. And look, Microsoft hasn't explicitly stated that's what they want, but I saw it was inferred at Envision when I was at Envision in whenever it was, May, a while ago, and then I got confirmation through sources that I was pretty much on the money about that, and so that I think we're in for a really fascinating. I don't want to call it a resurgence because they've had their bad moments, but they were never like, even with the worst period of Ballmer, they really weren't like not in the public eye or falling apart. They just
they were still making cash hand over fist.
That's the thing. I mean, and that was when we had the Windows 8 debacle and the Windows Vista debacle, and they still had 400 million people using it. Everyone complains about Windows, and everyone still uses it. It's not inertia. It works well enough to use it.
Hey, look, I remember when I bought my first Mac. That was about 10 years ago, and I was all Windows up until that point. And pretty much ever since that point, I've made a pretty big transition all the way to being all Mac. I've got all the MacBooks and the other devices. But when I saw the Surface Studio, I was like, now I can go back with ease on that one. So the big question for me to you is, are you going to go and get a Surface Studio when it comes back?
Of course I will at some point. I mean, I'm going to buy it just because I'm an insane, right? I'm an insane geek who likes buying stuff like that, right? And you know, my purchasing power is still good enough to afford it, right? And now I get it. I'll get the most fully tricked out version of it. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking the 2 terabyte, 32 gig, and the graphics card.
You got it. And the one that's gold plated, right?
Yeah, with the tricked out Chrome kit.
Right. And has virtual reality, a virtual reality switch that when you turn it on, you don't even need anything over your eyes. It just works.
But now, are you willing to go that route and make your Amazon Echo jealous because you're going to be spending more time potentially with the Surface thing than with Alexa?
No.
No.
You know what? Cortana, I have I have a 34-inch HP Envy not touchscreen, 34-inch HP Envy all-in-one, okay, as my productivity desktop. And it's the Microsoft edition of it, oddly. They sell their own edition of that particular one. Windows 10, the whole thing. I bought it only about a year ago. And then I tricked that out. I don't know if you've ever dealt with trying to like change anything in an all-in-one computer, but it is not easy. But I added RAM and I added a much bigger SSD, and so it's a good system, right? And I don't use Cortana at all. I shut it off, right? Well, you know, even with the upgrades, it's good, but there really is something about trying to use it on a desktop that gets annoying, actually. Yeah, well, I mean, I use Siri a little on my iPhone, but on my iMac, I played with it at first, and it was kind of cool, and now it's not kind of cool anymore, and I don't use it. Right? The only place I use it is I use Alexa and the Echo in my house, and I use it everywhere. I've got 4 Echo Dots. I've got the Echo in my office. I mean, it controls.
You just set off my Echo by saying,
"Hi, Alexa, turn off red lights."
So we have Microsoft coming strong. We've got Amazon doing what it's doing. Every day they're doing something different. Apple is kind of on the defensive at this point with it seemingly getting serious competition from what they've done well across these different big, huge players.
Well, you know, we can't forget Google in all of this either. You know, right now, see, there's the big 4.5, which is the ones we usually deal with, and Adobe, right? You know, and then there's also this other 3, which are Google, Apple, and Amazon, who are fighting for the home, right? They're fighting to dominate the consumer side when it comes to smart home and smart device kind of. But again, consumer side. I'd say actually the outlier for winning that, unless something dramatic happens, the outlier is Apple in this case. I think that Amazon's got the leg up. I think Google Home is rushing to market, as fast as they can and moving really quickly. And I think Apple had first mover advantage with Siri and everything else, but they didn't move fast enough. And Amazon is staggering at the speed with which they're moving. I mean, you remember the Echo Dot when it first came out? The Echo Dot you had to be Amazon Prime. You could only order 2. You had to order one at a time, right? And they were $100. Now, buy 5, get 1 free, $49.99. They're going for the mass market because you know why? They have the traction to go for it. And you know what? They'll get it. They're going to get it. And every day via IFTTT, via the Echo itself and Alexa and the app, more and more capabilities are being built in. It's become the platform of choice to build for the smart home. And Google's the only, Apple has HomeKit, but it's not like it's set the world on fire. It hasn't.
Yeah, and Google is probably effectively 2 years behind what Amazon, where Amazon is now. So
I think this is Amazon's to lose, really.
Yeah, and I don't see them losing only because, like you said, from the very beginning, they've never stopped running. It's like they have always run, and they never seem to slow down. And while others do slow down, they just keep continuing to run. And I think it's because they focus so heavily on building that customer base, putting that Amazon Prime in about 10, 11 years ago, that gave customers the incentive to continue and connected, and because they always add value to that program, they've built this huge customer base that really looks to them to do something with Amazon, either downloading a video, listening to some music, or buying something. I mean, when you think about those three activities, that's three activities that all consumers do pretty much almost on a daily basis, if not on a daily basis. So if you got a company that is connected with consumers every day in multiple ways that are important to them, how can you go wrong?
You can't. I mean, I don't know how you can ever write a book on this one, man. You can't keep up with it. Changes. By the time that book comes out, they'll have 575 other things that they did.
Yeah, right. Jeff Bezos had his son running it.
Appendix A, 400 pages. Appendix B, 730 pages.
Okay, so this is actually, so we know this thing works now. That's good. Yeah. But we did was pretty much ignore all the people commenting, which we'll figure out a way to actually pay attention the next time.
Well, think of it this way: we had I think we had 4 viewers, and we drove them all away.
Yeah, we're back down to 0. We spiked at 5, so now we got it back down to 0, which is a perfect way to end.
Marshall left. The last viewer, Marshall stuck in. He wrote, "I can keep watching, or I can prevent myself from starving. The belly wins."
Yes, and thanks to Phil for hanging in there. Ramon, Ramon, very nice.
Thanks, and apologies to Michelle for me making her dizzy.
Yeah, Prosperity Gal is all. We met her, right? You know who she is. Right? We met her in Houston a couple of years ago at the Microsoft Urgence Conference in Houston.
Yeah,
that's Michelle Price, right?
No, I remember. I felt bad. She sent a comment that said, "Oh, you're rocking," was making me dizzy, and I said in between, "Well, unfortunately, you won't be able to see me if I don't rock. I have to stay below the camera."
And I got to thank Pierre. We're saying some nice things. Pierre Du Bois.
Yep.
Monique Johnson, who helped. She was the one that introduced me to this. So.
Oh, really? No, that's why she wrote, "Yeah, you got it done."
You met her because she was at my conference.
Oh, I remember her really
the basketball game. That's right.
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely. So, with that, you're flying home tomorrow morning, right?
Yes, sir. 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Oof. Boy.
Yeah, I'll be leaving here the hotel. I'm in California, so I'll be leaving here at about 4:10 on the shuttle.
Wow. Well, at least you get home early.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be home 2:30.
That's cool. All right.
Hit
me up from the flight or whatever.
I will.
All right. So this is. Oh no! Now we have somebody to join us. Sorry, we're leaving. Get away from here.
Sorry.
All right.
We don't know who you are, but we love you anyway.
All right. Bye.
Bye.